Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am here with Evan and we are at Merriam. This is the family vineyards. Hello. Merriam is a great name. Evan, your family is actually from Boston. And here we are in Russian River Valley. This is an amazing winery that I came across a number of years ago. The family bought this property in 2000, so we're talking about 23 years ago, you guys. It's been a long time, and to be really honest, I just met Evan over the past year. I knew his dad, and it's been fun time watching this brand really emerge out of nowhere, you'd think. This is on the side of the freeway, right just before you get to Russian River Valley. I mean, sorry, not Russian River Valley. We're in Russian River Valley, but just before you get to the first turnoff for Healdsburg, you look over to the east side, and there it is. It says Merriam right there. You guys can see it anytime you come here. But here we are today. This is a great vineyard, and it's great to be here with you, Evan. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the show is always great. I always bring out great people that really care about their vineyards. This is a certified organic vineyard right here, CCOF certified, which is a big deal in California. It takes a lot to do that. That means you really care about these vines.
We do. Yeah, yeah. We take a lot of pride in the farming, and we've been CCOF certified since 2012.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, your dad and I, when I got here today, your dad greeted me. We've known each other for, probably about 20 years. And to be really honest, what I had here right in front of you guys, first off, was the Merlot, even though that's not where we're tasting first. But it's kind of how I came across this vineyard. Here we are in Russian River Valley. What do you guys think about when I say Russian River Valley? What are the two first varieties you think about? I would say that you're probably thinking to yourself, Russian River Valley equals Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And you are correct. But there are things that were here way before that, including Zinfandel. So if we can grow Zinfandel here, that means that in these certain spots of Russian River Valley, that would suggest that we could grow other things here. And I think that your family was really ahead of the game in really planting some Merlot here. What was really kind of the thought pattern about purchasing property here in Russian River, and what was your obsession with these grapes?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Windacre Vineyard when my parents first purchased the vineyard in 2000 was that it was already planted to Merlot. So Merlot had been growing there for about 25 years, and they knew that when they purchased the vineyard.
Yeah.
And so I think the inspiration behind it really was, how can we craft a, Bordeaux style, right bank style wine here in Sonoma County, and specifically in the Russian River.
Yeah.
So the cooler climate was something that they saw as a benefit to growing Merlot, and then eventually Cabernet Franc and Cabernet as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I mean, listen, you guys, like I said, we're taking a turn off to Healdsburg. You actually go underneath the freeway, go back towards like Rodney Strong Winery, take a right, or a left actually, go over Limerick Lane Road and come this way, and so we're parallel here. But don't forget, the little swimming area for Healdsburg is right down the road here. It gets warm. That's my whole point. It gets a little bit warm here, and there's also on Limerick Lane, the vineyard of Limerick Lane. I mean, these were Zinfandel vineyards that were planted here. So there's something really great about this. It's a little bit more inland, it's a little bit more eastern, and it's just warm here. It's nice and warm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of history on Limerick Lane as well.
Yeah.
Most of these vineyard sites were planted back in the late 1800s.
That's correct.
And still exist today. So the cool thing about Windacre Vineyard specifically is that it was originally planted in 1880 and had been consecutively replanted over time. And then when my parents purchased it, ultimately replanted again. But
wow,
yeah,
crazy information for you guys. What we're drinking right now is a little bit different than that. This is a Fume Blanc. If you guys know the term Fume, that would suggest that it is Sauvignon Blanc, but it does have a little bit of semi on it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So here on the estate property, we call this one Danielle's Vineyard Fume Blanc. About 2 acres of, Sauvignon Blanc. and then only about 85 head-trained vines of Semillon that we usually pick as a team, fun afternoon, or sorry, early morning. And we ferment those in oak barrels. So both the Semillon and the Sauvignon Blanc are fermented and aged in oak barrels separately, and then blended together at the end to come up with our Fume Blanc.
What got your mom and dad into wine? I mean, how did they get here? Why were they thinking?
Yeah, so I think really it started with my dad will say that he had a great friend that introduced him to Burgundy wines when he was young, right out of college, and that really changed his perspective on wine. And then eventually my parents, on their honeymoon, traveled all throughout France, throughout Bordeaux and Burgundy and Rhone, Loire Valley as well.
I would want to do that too.
Yeah, they had a great time, and they have some funny stories about that too. You'll have to ask them. Yeah, after that, they opened up a wine shop, sold a lot of wines from Europe, from France and Italy and different parts of Europe, and then started coming out to California in the 80s. That's when they decided that they wanted to produce wines.
Bostonians do come to California. Do not doubt that, you guys. And here we are. Great example of this. And they stay sometimes. This is awesome. This wine, to me, really is kind of more that Bordeaux Blanc, and it really does have structure. It's got some really nice, there's some exotic tropical fruits in here. How'd you put them in there?
Yeah.
You think so? And this Fume would suggest that you do use a little bit of barrel on this. And, you definitely have some texture. You've got there's some silky texture, but it also has some, it's got a little bit of weight to it. So this is like, you could do this with so many different things. I'm thinking ceviche right off the top of my head. Ceviche and maybe some monkfish. One of the great dishes I've ever had was with monkfish, and I think that would be a really good one, a little bit more weighty kind of whitefish. Sushi would be really in there too. Just delicious.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Fume, you guys, it's a great term. Robert Mondavi kind of created this term. It's based on Pouilly Fume, but it's also based on smokiness, and that's what Fume. Like if you're in France, it says no fume. It means don't smoke in here. So Fume is to smoke, and that's the little reference to a little bit of barrel tension on this. Tastes great, wonderful thing. And I think that a lot of people just don't understand that Russian River is not all cold. We do have cool climate conditions. It's where I grew up. I mean, I grew up not that far, just a little bit south of here in Russian River Valley. And I mean, there's reasons we went swimming, you guys. It's because it was warm. And so it's this inland part that gets a little bit warmer, and Sauvignon Blanc likes that. We also know, because of the great people at Dry Creek Vineyard, that Fume Blanc is a good selling name. And David Stair was just celebrated at the California State Fair. He was given a great award for all of his accomplishments with the term Fume Blanc and Sauvignon Blanc here in Sonoma County. So we know we can do it, and this is a great example of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the warm weather really helps with the Fume Blanc style, because we like to have the grapes ripen on the vine and to pull out those tropical flavors that you mentioned before.
Yeah. So we're going to taste this Merlot second. And Merlot, to me, okay, if you saw Sideways, whatever, you guys. What's he drinking at the end? Cheval Blanc, you guys. He's drinking Merlot again. So there's things about that movie that will suggest, like, oh yeah, his ex-wife and him loved Merlot together, and there's all this stuff that goes down that we didn't really think about when we were really going, oh my God, Merlot is just dead. It's not true at all. Merlot just needs to be grown in the right places, and that's incredibly true in Bordeaux. I mean, it's in the windy kind of area, the cooler area than Cabernet, and we know it can be done. And when it is done, it's some of the greatest grapes of the world. And here we are in this really interesting little nook here, really northeastern part of Russian River Valley, right here at the hillside. If we go down the road, actually we just drive over this little hill here. We're there in Knights Valley. We've got Chalk Hill just right down there, that other appellation, and Alexander Valley is just on the other side of the town of Healdsburg here. So there is a really unique area here, and we know that the old families were planting grapes right here, Zinfandel, which is a red grape that needs sun. So we've got it.
Yeah, not only Zinfandel, but so many other Italian varietals in these field blends.
Yeah.
So really, there's just such a diverse range of grapes that are grown here in this little pocket.
Yeah. What would you say too? I mean, just, you know, when you're looking towards, like we'd be looking that way, southwestern towards Russian River Valley, is the fog just blown off here and you're going, oh yeah, they're still fogged in down there? What's it look like here?
Usually, you know, if it's foggy down below here, we get that same fog, and typically we are earlier to blow off that fog in the mornings, but if the fog's coming up the valley, there's a good chance it's making it all the way up here. Yeah. And it stops right before Healdsburg.
Yep.
So.
Unique little area here, you guys, and I really want you guys to get the historical significance of this and why other people, you know, like Peter Michael and these guys came to this area and going, you know, there's enough wind here that we can really do this. And this family, you know, you came here and these vines were planted, but it's just a unique situation. This wine is amazing. He and Evan and I were at the wine auction for Sonoma County this year, and there was a great buyer that was sitting at our table, and we were having a good time, but this buyer didn't know your Merlot yet, and I said, listen, girl, you got to taste this Merlot because it's really good. She did, and she bid on it, and she bought it, and it wasn't cheap, believe me. But the fact was she had very good taste, and that's why I really fell in love with this brand originally, is because of the Merlot. We think about Merlot and we think about these warmer areas, and to be really honest, it just really needs that kind of area that's kind of both. It needs warm daytime conditions, but it needs cool breezes in the late afternoon, and kind of like you need a little bit dewy, kind of like a little moisture on those leaves in the mornings as well. And we've got it here, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That was a good thought that I just had going through my mind, was everything that you described is exactly what we have here.
Yeah.
We have really nice cool mornings, and we have really, really nice warm afternoons.
I agree.
And that whole shift in temperature is really what, you know, we talk about for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but Merlot is the same way.
Exactly.
They love it. The grapes love it. They hang out for a long time, and we end up picking, you know, sometime right around the time we pick our Pinot.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Works out really well.
It's such a great thing, and the nose is so great on this. I mean, you've really got it going. Just like there's a lot of the dark cherry, berry kinds of notes, and it reminds me so much of picking blackberries when I was a kid in the Russian River Valley, you know, and it has all of that, but there's also structure in here. This is not a low weight Merlot. This has got it all. This is like what I'd call a full-bodied Merlot.
Yeah.
It really does have time to develop too, and I think that's the really good thing about it, is the development of these flavors. And I mean, it's like great wines. They develop inside the glass. They develop inside the bottle. This can be aged for quite a while too. This is 2019 vintage. It's tasting great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one of the things that I've been doing lately too is I've been holding wines back for a library program, and you know, both for guests and for ourselves, right, for educational purposes.
Yep.
So I love to go back in time and think about what the growing season was like and how that wine developed in the bottle.
Yeah. Well, we got some people coming here this afternoon, and I'm really excited that my great Kimberly Charles, one of my great friends, got me in here, and I said, "Hey, Kimberly, I really want to interview Evan," and I got in, and you know, it's one of those things where you just get these special moments, and really with your dad, I had that special moment some years ago, probably about 20, almost 2 decades ago, where I really went, you know, this is amazing Merlot for what Sonoma County can do. We don't think about it in really Petaluma Gap or Sonoma Coast or most of Russian River. It's just a little nook here. And I think your dad and your mom were very smart in bringing it and coming and finding something like this. And I love the fact that you said that they fell in love with Bordeaux and Burgundy, because it's both here, you guys, especially in this little nook. And we know because the Zinfandel that was already here, and give a little shout out to our friends at Limerick Lane and especially Bill Smart. We're saluting you, Bill Smart. He's just down the road from us. And, this has become a little nook back here, isn't it?
It's a cool little pocket.
Yeah.
There's a fun neighborhood, and, we all get together, and we all do different things. We all make different wines. So, having Limerick Lane down the street is so unique to the neighborhood because no one else is making Zinfandel.
That's right. And so, speaking of which, what brought you here? So you being the Bostonian too, and you went to school in Boston, and I will say one thing that I got to do one time is I got to speak about wine at MIT. I felt very happy about that. They actually have a very cool wine society there, believe it or not. Here's this wine.
This is our SNED. Yeah, 2019 SNED.
Hang on,
Red Blend.
helicopter going over. You know it's big time when there's helicopters going over, you guys. This is SNED, and tell us what SNED means.
Yeah, so SNED is an acronym for my siblings and I. My oldest brother, Stefan. I have a twin brother, Nicholas. Myself, Evan, and Danielle, my younger sister. The four of us make up SNED. So it's always been a fun red wine that we make almost every year. And the blend changes here and there, depending on what we like and what tastes great. So this one, mostly Cabernet from Windacre Vineyards, and a little bit of Malbec from Alexander Valley.
Okay.
And that makes up about 90% of the blend.
That's great. Yeah. One of the great things that was ever said to me was by a person that owns a vineyard and a brand, he said, Chris, when I go into restaurants and I can't make up my mind about ordering a wine because there's just too many of them, I look for people who name their wine after their children. Just saying, because you don't screw that wine up. Those are your best wines. Those are your best grapes. And here we are, and this is all four of you are represented inside this bottle.
Yeah, it's true. And this one actually has
Just
all
saying.
5 Bordeaux varietals as well. There's a tiny bit of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Bordeaux there.
It's amazing.
That last 10%.
I haven't even tasted it yet. And actually, I have not tasted this wine. We're tasting it right off the bat right here. And the nose is amazing. There's like a combination of blue and black fruits in here. And I really love that. I love blueberries. Don't ever get me wrong, you guys. You want to get me and entice me, you give me blueberries, and I'm there. I love, there's a little cassis note. There's like a boysenberry kind of thing, too, going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on in this glass.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, the Malbec is, particularly the Malbec that we get from Alexander Valley is just like so deep, has a deep purple color, and a lot of those notes as well, I think, are coming from there.
Yeah, and the spiciness. I would attribute that to the Malbec for sure, and it's definitely there. Malbec is not grown on any kind of great volume. I think the Lasseters down in Sonoma Valley have the most planted of all of the people, and they sell a lot of it, and they always have. But the fact is, it's a really great grape if it's put in the right areas. And I think that this is a very good example of a selection from Alexander Valley. And like I said, Alexander Valley from here, the line starts about 5 miles just down the road.
Right.
So we are still in Russian River Valley, and this is really the edge of Russian River Valley. And like I said, where are we again? Rodney Strong Winery is right across the road. Fabiano is just down the road too. So you've got some old legendary wineries. And why did they start here? And it's kind of funny because Rodney himself, Rodney Strong, he was into Pinot Noir back in the old days, and he had a big program that he did with Joyce Sterling's before they bought their property there in Grayton down the road from us here. He was planting Pinot Noir and Chardonnay there, but he knew that this area was a little bit different. And so here in Russian River Valley, we have these little pockets that people just don't understand. And it's not just about Pinot Noir, but you do have Pinot Noir here. And how would you compare that to the rest of the valley?
I think our Pinot Noir is going to line up more so with like West Side Road, and particularly the further north that you get on West Side, because we're only about maybe a mile away from there right now.
Yep.
So you get these deeper flavors that you wouldn't otherwise get from the Green Valley, for instance, which is known for its blueberry characteristics.
Exactly.
Right? So we get some of the darker fruit flavors. For
Yeah,
sure.
and West Side Road really is just, I mean, if we could see right across the freeway on the other side, that's where West Side is. And you got some producers there, William Sellium, Ramey's got a property there, Rocchioli, ever hear of them? That's really close nearby here. And it really is that kind of place where it is warm, but it does cool down so much at night. It just becomes a different atmosphere. And I think that what we're seeing here with these wines is that it's not just great for Pinot Noir, but it's also really good for Bordeaux varieties in this little pocket. I would not say that Russian River is made for growing Bordeaux varieties, but this pocket certainly is, and this winery has really taught me a lot about that.
Thank you.
I want to thank you once again, Evan, for having me here. It's always great to show off stuff from, especially my home county of Sonoma County, but it's great to have, you know, great Bostonians come here and prove that we're right here as well. It's a great pleasure to be here, and it's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Cheers.